The moment I received the cancellation email, I didn't scream, cry, or panic. I simply tilted my head, smirked, and whispered, "Oh, Ian. You just buried yourself alive." What he didn't know was that the flight he robbed me of wasn't taking me away from him. It was taking me straight into the one room where his entire world would soon collapse. I stared at the email for a long moment, letting the truth sink in, not the truth that my ticket was gone, but the truth about the man I had spent 4 years loving, 4 years building dreams with, sharing meals with, defending to everyone who said he wasn't good for me. 4 years of staying up late helping him edit proposals, rehearse lines, polish rough ideas until they shined like diamonds. 4 years of believing we were a team. Except I was the only one playing. Ian hadn't become cruel overnight. No, he slipped into it slowly, the way fog creeps into a valley. First came the small lies he was working late, but his shirt smelled of expensive perfume. Then came the sudden change in behavior. He didn't want me at meeting anymore, said I made him nervous, said I asked too many questions. And then came Misha, with her perfect hair, perfect nails, perfect heels clicking confidently on marble floors that I'd never even been allowed onto, because it was for investors only. I wasn't jealous of her beauty. I was angry at how easily Ian let her rewrite the story of who I was. To him, I suddenly became the girlfriend who didn't understand business, the one who didn't fit the new image, the girl who should stay home and trust him. Trust. The word felt like poison, yet I stayed longer than I should have, praying stupidly for clarity. But clarity rarely arrives gently, it usually slaps you awake. That slap came disguised as a cancelled plane ticket. I had planned to go with Ian to Dubai for his biggest investor presentation yet. We had talked about it for months. He needed my help with the pitch, the visuals, the flow, everything. I had worked tirelessly, believing that this was our moment, our victory, our beginning. But 3 days before the trip, he changed the script. "You don't need to come," he said casually, scrolling through his phone. "It'll be boring for you." Boring? Watching the pitch I practically built. I didn't argue, I didn't want to fight. My instincts told me something was off, and instincts rarely lie. So I quietly shifted my plans. I didn't tell him that I wasn't going to Dubai at all, that I had booked a separate flight to London, that a global firm had offered me a private interview based on work samples they traced back to me, not him, that they wanted me, specifically me, and no one else. It was an opportunity that could rewrite my entire future, but I didn't share it, because something inside me whispered that sharing anything with Ian now was dangerous. The night before his flight, he kissed my forehead and said, "I'll miss you." His voice trembled in a way that almost fooled me. Almost. When he fell asleep, breathing deeply with the phone still warm in his hand, I opened my laptop to print some documents for London. Instead, I found a message open on the screen, a message not meant for me. "She's not coming anymore, baby." I handled it. Misha had sent a heart emoji. Ian replied with a wink. I didn't know whether to laugh or burn the apartment down, but instead of breaking, I felt something inside me straighten like a spine that had been bent too long. I read the message over and over until I no longer felt anger, only clarity. He handled me, as if I were a problem he needed to get rid of. As if I were a burden. As if I were an obstacle to his glamorous new life. But he didn't know the ticket he cancelled wasn't for Dubai. He didn't know I had used my own money. He didn't know London wasn't a vacation or a casual visit. It was my real shot, my real life calling. I closed the laptop gently, like sealing a coffin on the past. When morning came, I silently packed my bag. He didn't notice. He was too busy texting someone with a grin he didn't bother to hide anymore. He didn't ask where I was going. He didn't ask why I was carrying my documents. He didn't ask anything. He thought I wasn't capable of living without his guidance, without his presence, without his approval. He thought canceling a ticket could cage me. He thought sabotaging me meant I would stay by his side, crying, stranded, dependent. I booked a ride to the airport. The morning sun painted golden stripes across the sky, but it felt like fire behind me, burning away every trace of what I used to be. At the airport counter, I told them my flight was cancelled. The attendant checked the details and frowned. "Ma'am, your name is actually on our internal list. The company requested you be allowed on any next available flight to London. You're cleared." I nearly smiled, I nearly cried. Both felt the same in that moment. Within an hour, I was walking down the jet bridge, heart pounding, chest rising with the freedom I had forgotten I deserved. When the plane took off, I looked out the window at the shrinking city. The city where I had shrunk myself for someone who never deserved me. And I whispered the words he would never hear. "You didn't cancel my flight. Ayan, you launched it. The clouds swallowed the plane. And with each passing mile, I shed the old versions of myself. The one who waited, the one who begged, the one who believed love meant sacrifice. No, love should never feel like losing yourself. By the time the plane touched down in London, I knew my life was no longer tied to Ian's decisions, moods, betrayals, or insecurities. I wasn't his safety net, or his stepping stone, or his background character. I was my own story, and he had no idea how powerful that made me, because the truth was simple. The moment he cancelled my ticket, he cancelled himself from my future. When Ian woke up to the message that my location was in London, not home, not crying, not waiting, he realized too late that the one person he thought he could sabotage was the one person the world had already chosen to elevate. That was the moment the panic finally hit him. Not because he loved me, but because he realized the consequences of losing someone he never believed would walk away. I didn't see his first reaction, but I could imagine it. The confusion turning into disbelief into fear, and fear into a choking awareness that he had given up the one asset he never understood me. But while he paced floors and frantically called my phone, I was stepping into the brightest boardroom I had ever seen. London's air felt different, sharp, crisp, rinsed clean of everything that used to weigh me down. The cab ride from the airport was a blur of buildings and old stone bridges, but the real clarity came when I reached the company's headquarters. A glass tower rising above the river, calm yet powerful. Just stepping inside felt like crossing into a new world. One where my name wasn't linked to Ayan's shadow. The woman at the front desk greeted me with a warm smile. "You must be Sarah," she said. "We've been expecting you, expecting me." Me, not as someone's assistant, not as someone's girlfriend, as myself. She handed me a visitor badge and escorted me to a conference room on the 34th floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows revealed the whole city stretching endlessly. I could almost see my old life shrinking far behind me. The CEO walked in, a man who carried authority effortlessly, with eyes that missed nothing. "Sarah," he said, offering his hand, "I've been looking forward to meeting the person behind the work we've been reviewing." I blinked. "Behind the work?" He smiled knowingly. "I know what Ian submitted, and I know which parts he didn't create. You're the strategist, the analyst, the backbone. We can always tell when the mind behind the work doesn't match the one presenting it." For a moment, I couldn't breathe. Not from fear, but from the validation I never knew I needed. I didn't know if I should come, I admitted quietly. "I thought that someone wouldn't want you to succeed?" He finished gently. "We suspected that. That's why we reached out to you directly." His voice wasn't soft or sympathetic, just deeply respectful. And that respect melted something inside me. I had spent years giving my brilliance, my ideas, my vision to someone who barely said thank you. Now, for the first time, someone saw me clearly. The interview wasn't stiff or formal. It flowed like a conversation between equals. We discussed data, branding, expansion strategy, and everything I had ever loved working on. I didn't hold back. I let every idea, every analysis, every piece of insight spill out of me. And the CEO listened, not distracted, not dismissive, but genuinely invested in every word. When it was over, he extended his hand again. "Welcome to the team, Sarah." Just like that, no uncertainty, no hesitation. He knew what I was worth. I finally knew too. While I was signing documents and being introduced to department heads, Ayan was unraveling piece by piece. I didn't see it in real time, but the messages told the story. "Where are you? Why didn't you tell me you were leaving? Why London?" "Please, Sarah, answer me. I messed up, okay? Just come home and we'll talk. The same useless promise he always made when he wanted to temporarily fix what he permanently broke. I didn't reply. Later that evening, after my onboarding was complete, I sat in my hotel room overlooking the river. The lights glittered on the water like 1,000 second chances. I finally opened my phone to check the notification. 21 missed calls, 43 messages, 3 voicemails. I opened none of them, not because I wanted to punish him, but because his voice no longer mattered. He had canceled a ticket believing he controlled my destiny. But instead of falling, I had landed straighter than ever. Days passed. I settled into my new role with surprising ease. My colleagues valued my insights. My CEO trusted my judgment. I was included in meetings, not silenced in them. I was asked for feedback, not shushed for speaking. For the first time in years, my mind felt alive. And then the inevitable happened. Ian arrived in London. He didn't tell me he was coming. He just showed up at the company lobby like a man chasing his last lifeline. I found out only because security called me. Ma'am, there's someone insisting he knows you. He said his name is Ian. My heart didn't even skip. It stayed steady, calm, cold as marble. I'm coming down, I said. When the elevator doors opened, I saw him, hair messy, eyes frantic, shoulders slumped in defeat. Not the confident startup founder, not the charming liar. Just a man who finally realized the cost of his choices. Sarah, he breathed, stepping forward. You're really here? I nodded once. No smile, no softness. The version of me he expected no longer existed. You left without telling me, he continued, voice trembling. I thought you wanted space but London. And this company, why didn't you talk to me? Because you canceled my ticket, I replied smoothly. Because you tried to stop me. Because you thought I wouldn't survive without you. He flinched. I didn't mean, I thought you were going to Dubai, and I wanted to go alone with your lover. I finished. Yes, I know. Guilt washed over his face like dirty water spilling over glass. He opened his mouth to speak, but I held up a hand. You didn't cancel my Dubai ticket. You canceled my London one. My opportunity, my chance. And you did it without even asking me. You tried to control something that was never yours to touch. I made a mistake, he whispered. Please just come home. We can fix this. Home? I echoed quietly. Ian, I didn't fly away from home. I flew toward it. He didn't understand. He never would. I stepped back, creating a distance he couldn't cross. I'm done, I said softly, not angry, not heartbroken. Just done. And then I turned around and walked away. Not because I wanted to hurt him, but because my life was no longer something he had access to. He had been a chapter. I was now writing a whole book. As the elevator doors closed, I saw him standing there small, defeated, finally, realizing that some losses cannot be recovered, not even with apologies. I didn't need revenge. I didn't need closure. I didn't need him to hurt. My success was enough. My peace was enough. I was enough. And as I rose floor by floor, I understood the truth that would guide every step of my future. The moment he canceled my ticket, fate issued me a new one, first class, direct, one way straight into the life I was always meant to claim.